Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, a classic fairy tale read by Beverly Chen. Welcome to Thimbleberry Stories, where warm and cozy tales await you. If you love gentle bedtime stories that make you feel safe and snug, like curling up by a crackling fire on a chilly night, be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a new adventure. Now, get comfy, pull up your favorite blanket, and let's begin tonight's story. Once upon a time, in a quiet kingdom, nestled between rolling green hills and deep whispering forests, there lived a kind and gentle queen who longed for a child. One winter's day, as she sat at the window, looking at the new fallen snow, she sighed and made a wish. Oh, how I long for a child, one as bright as the morning frost, as full of life as the autumn berries, and as strong as the tallest tree in the forest. In time, their wish came true, and a little one was born. They named her Snow White. But joy turned to sorrow, for the queen did not live long after, and Snow White's remaining parent, the king, eventually remarried. The new queen was beautiful, but cold-hearted. She possessed a magic mirror, and each day she would ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" For years the mirror replied, "You, my queen, are the fairest of them all." But as Snow White grew, her kindness and beauty shone even brighter, and one day the mirror answered, "Queen, you are lovely, it is true, but Snow White is fairer still than you." Fury kindled in the queen's heart. She called for the royal huntsman. "Take the child deep into the forest and see that she never returns." The huntsman led Snow White far into the woods, but as he raised his knife, his heart faltered. "Run, little one," he whispered. "Run and never return." Snow White fled deeper and deeper into the emerald tangle of the forest. Gnarled roots grasped at her feet, owls hooted, and the wind whispered secrets among the trees. At last, exhausted, she stumbled upon a tiny cottage with a cheerful thatched roof and a little wooden door, no taller than her shoulder. Inside, everything was small and tidy. 7 little chairs at a polished oak table, 7 neatly folded blankets at the end of 7 snug beds. She ate a few bites from each of the 7 bowls of porridge, then curled up in the largest of the tiny beds, drifting into dreams. At dusk, the owners of the cottage returned, 7 dwarves with bright eyes. They gasped to find Snow White sleeping. "Who is this gentle visitor?" they whispered. When Snow White awoke, she told them her tale, and the dwarves' kind hearts swelled with pity. "Stay with us," they said. "We'll keep you safe." So Snow White became their dear companion, sweeping the cottage, tending the fire, and filling their days with laughter. But far away, the queen still sought Snow White's fate. Once again, she stood before her mirror. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all?" The mirror, bound to the truth, replied, "Queen, you are lovely, it is true, but Snow White, safe with the 7 dwarves, is fairer still than you." Fury boiled within the queen. She brewed a wicked plan and disguised herself as an old peddler. With a basket of silk ribbons, she journeyed to the cottage and knocked upon the door. "Sweet child, let me lace your dress with the finest ribbon." Snow White, trusting and gentle, let the old woman tighten the corset laces, but the queen pulled them too tight until Snow White could not breathe and fell as if lifeless. The queen fled, believing she had won. That evening, the dwarves returned and found Snow White pale and still. In horror, they cut the laces, and breath returned to her lips. She told the dwarves of the old peddler woman. The dwarves warned her never to open the door to a stranger. But the queen was relentless. She returned, this time with a poisoned comb. "Child, let me smooth your lovely hair." But the moment the comb touched her head, Snow White collapsed. Once more the dwarves saved her, and once more they warned her to beware. For the third and final time, the queen disguised herself, this time as a kindly old apple seller. She knocked on the cottage door. "Dear child, taste this apple, the sweetest in all the land." The apple gleamed red as a winter berry, and when Snow White took a bite, she fell into a deep, death-like sleep. The dwarves could not wake her. With heavy hearts, they built a glass coffin and laid her beneath the forest canopy, where woodland creatures kept watch and the seasons passed around her. One day, a prince riding through the woods saw the sleeping figure and was enchanted. "I cannot leave her here," he declared. "Let me take her to my kingdom, where she may rest in honor." As his attendants lifted the glass coffin, the motion dislodged the poisoned apple from her throat. Snow White gasped. Her eyes fluttered open, and life returned to her. The prince knelt beside her. "You have been asleep for a long time," he said gently. Snow White smiled. "I believe I have." He asked her for her hand in marriage, and with the blessings of the 7 dwarves, they journeyed to his kingdom. As for the wicked queen, she returned to her mirror once more and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of them all?" The mirror answered, "Queen, you are lovely, it is true, but Snow White, who lives in joy and love, is fairer still than you." The queen's fury consumed her, and she was never seen again. As for Snow White and her prince, they lived in a castle of warmth and laughter, but they never forgot the kindness of the 7 dwarves or the lessons of the deep whispering woods. And in the evenings, when the stars gleamed like diamonds, they would sit by the fire and tell stories of apples and ribbons, of kindness and caution, and of a love that broke the spell of sleep. And so, they lived happily ever after. The end. And now, dear dreamer, it's your turn to rest. Close your eyes, snuggle up, and let the stars twinkle just for you. Tomorrow will be a wonderful day, perhaps even an adventure of your own. Good night, little dreamer. Sleep well.